Hi, welcome to this episode of The Daily. My name is Brendan Malone. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I watched the movie Z for Zachariah, which is the movie adaptation of the book Z is for Zachariah. I was really looking forward to this. We're both really looking forward to this. We remember the book from when we were in high school. It was part of our reading curriculum. So for me particularly, I love the book. I'm a child I was born in 75 and I grew up through that period of the 80s where the nuclear threat was very, very real. I remember reading a lot about it. I read a lot of material and read a lot of fiction and non-fiction about nuclear war and nuclear devastation. And so it was a very real thing. And that particular book was just so palpable and so powerful at the time because of this threat to the world and how imminent it felt to us all at the time. And so I was looking forward to this film. But this movie is nothing like the book. They've completely destroyed the original source material. In fact, the only two things I'd say that I've got going for this movie, one is the acting. Obviously, there's some very good actors in this, and the acting is pretty good. Secondly is the scenery. It was shot about 45 minutes down the road from where I live, and so there's some really beautiful scenery. But other than that, they have taken the source material, they have completely vandalized it and destroyed it, and they have produced a film that tells a completely different story. In the original source material, it is just the girl and Loomis, the man who turns up wearing the radioactive protective suit. And the whole film is about the tension between the two of them and how this relationship is so dysfunctional, and how he wants to dominate and control her and the threat that he poses to her as a young girl. Well, all of that's gone. They've turned it into this love triangle. They've completely changed the character of Loomis. They have removed all of the core elements that made the original book so good, and they completely changed the ending. This is the sort of point at which you say, well, I think they should have just released this movie and called it something completely different, because it actually is not an adaptation of the book. It's a completely new story. As I said, really disappointing experience, because the book is actually quite an entertaining and engaging read. And there was so much scope to really take the source material and produce a really interesting film, but they didn't do that. And there were other little things too that really annoyed me. So in the book, the valley she lives in is really isolated, and we don't really know why they've been protected from the effects of this devastation. And so there's this looming threat of could all of the protection they enjoy in this valley be completely stripped away from them, and could, the fallout from this disaster eventually destroy them as well? That's this looming and very big question. That's not present in the film at all, completely taken out of the film. Not only that, but she's shown walking to a local town, which is clearly within walking distance, and you can clearly see the way they've shot the film that people who were close to that valley could see the fact that it was fertile and that there was still appeared to be life there. So the big question I had when I first watched the film in the opening sequence was, hold on a minute, why wouldn't people from the local town have just walked up the road a bit like she does when she goes in and out of town? And why wouldn't they have just walked up the road and discovered that valley and actually all started living there? So there were things like that really took you out of the experience and completely undermined what the original book, the story that it told. Look, you might have a different take on it, I don't know, but for me, it just didn't cut the mustard. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on The Daily.